Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. Hold the Alana because she is not here today, but I am here with Pat. I'm so excited because not only is Pat an author in Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2, but she's a dynamic serial entrepreneur with a passion for innovation, leadership, and creativity. As the managing partner of Majestic Coaching Group, Pat empowers women in IT through personalized business advising, mentoring, and training. She also leads Majestic Lending, LLC, supporting real estate investors with private lending opportunities. As an accomplished clay artist, Pat conducts workshops that helps women build confidence, embrace their true selves, and enhance intuition through pottery. Oh my God, I didn't know that about you. I'm so excited I want to talk about that briefly today because that's amazing. And I wish Alana was here because she just did pottery lessons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's okay. She'll be jealous. You can talk to her in New York. So, as an international speaker and six-time best-selling author, her talks inspire women over 45 to embrace mindful leadership, relevancy, and self-care. She's based in Fort Worth, and she enjoys international travel and pickleball. And I'm so happy to have you here today.
It is a delight, Blair, to be here and to be a part of this dynamic movement on resilience and just to be able to share some wisdom with your audience. So let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. So before we kind of dive into like your story, I want to just touch on the pottery. How did you get into that?
Yes, and that's part of my story.
Okay, well then let's go back. Well, everyone who is excited to hear how she gets into pottery, you're going to have to listen to the whole episode. So you have had breast cancer twice.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about your first time.
Yeah. Well, my first time was 27 years ago. And it is really surprising that someone would go this long and all of a sudden have a reoccurrence. Even my doctor said, I've never had anyone come to me for a second time after 27 years. And I was in my 40s. I found the lump while I was taking a shower, and I always do a breast exam on my birth date. So every fifth of the month, I do a breast exam, and I found the lump. And I freaked out, literally freaked out. I come from a family of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, lots of cancer in my family. And so I just froze in the shower saying, man, this doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. Where do we go from here? And when I went to the doctor the first time, I literally just kind of turned over my power to the doctor, uh, thinking that he knew best and he knew the right way and everything that I should be doing. And I did exactly that. I followed his directions explicitly and went through a conventional biopsy, chemo, and radiation. What it became a catalyst for was alternative medicine because I made a decision that I was going to heal myself. And I started studying alternative medicine, healing through herbs, through oils. I became a polarity therapist, a Reiki therapist, just to be able to work on myself. And it was an awakening that I had just put myself last on the list and was really giving to everyone except to me. And that's how that major lesson came to me, is that you need to change something you need to pivot, you need to change something in your life, but you cannot continue to go on living at this pace and expect to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was an experience. And at the time, Blair, in 27 years ago, cancer wasn't talked about like it's talked about now.
Mm-hmm.
It was like don't tell anybody that you have cancer. My mother would say that. Don't tell blah, blah, blah that you have cancer. And, it was like hush, hush. And, very few people in my circle knew. And I really went into my cocoon and, found that that really wasn't the best way to approach
Hmm.
this challenge, this adversity. But I didn't know better then, but I know better now. So
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that for a sec. So you're 40, you're in the shower doing a breast exam. You were doing that every month? What age did you start doing that?
in my 20s, I started doing that really early because my mom had breast cancer
Mm,
and she had ovarian cancer. And it was so close. I was young when my mom had breast cancer that I immediately said, there's a chance that one of us will have breast cancer. And so as soon as I learned about my mom having breast cancer and her sisters, then I just immediately I said, I need to do something. I need to stay on top of this. And luckily, I'm the one, I found it and we reacted quickly and it was stage 1. And
wow.
yeah, wow.
And first of all, also thank you for sharing that. I mean, I can't imagine the variety of thoughts that were going through your head when you found that and walking through those steps, those similar steps that your mother did. Um, let's talk about, I guess when you were in remission or recovery, like how long was that until you learned you had breast cancer a second time?
It was 27 years.
Oh, so it was
And
recently.
I was diagnosed last February. Last February. Yep. And I found the lump again. I found the lump. So even 27 years ago, I was very cautious about what I ate, making sure I didn't eat too much sugar because cancer likes sugar,
Hmm.
and doing the breast exam, just really being cautious about my health and well-being and trying to eliminate as much stress in my life as possible.
Hmm.
And when you go this long, you think, I got it. You know, 27 years, 26 years, hey, every year is a success. And,
Hmm.
you just, the doctors say, if you can get past 5 years, you're clear. Well, I believe that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
believed that, trusted that, right?
So does that mean you didn't have a mastectomy?
Not then. They just removed, I had a lumpectomy. So they just removed the lump
Oh,
and then I had chemo and radiation. But the second time, it came back almost in the same place. Same
wow.
breasts, right breast, almost the same place. And because the radiation is so damaging to the tissue, they wouldn't allow lumpectomy. They said we can't do it. We're going to have to take your breast. And so that was shocking and disappointing. But what was even more shocking was I asked the question, what are the chances that it will return on my left? And the doctor said 40%.
Whoa.
40%. And I'm like, I can't live with those odds.
Right.
I can't live with those odds. Waking up every morning wondering 40% chance I'm going to feel a lump on. I said, no, I can't do it. I can't do that. So I made a decision to have a double mastectomy and a reconstruction.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I I can't imagine walking through those familiar steps you walked down that road 27 years ago and then last year, not even a year ago, learning that you had a reoccurrence. And this time being, being told that the double mastectomy, well, the mastectomy, but you choosing the double mastectomy, like how did you make that decision? Like, was it an instant, like, yes?
Mhm. Yeah, it was instant.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was instant. I didn't have a choice right on the right breast because he said, I can't, I'm going to have to take your breast. And when he gave me the odds, I'm like, I sat with that, but it didn't take much. It's either always wonder
Hmm.
every day whether it's going to come back, and 40% chance is a high percentage. I, it was like, no, I mean, it's going to be painful, I know, but at the end, I'm putting myself in a better position to heal from uh, the cancer on the right breast and then not have to worry about a reoccurrence anymore. So, yeah, I made
If
it that day,
yeah,
within that half hour, we just made a decision. This is the way we need to go.
yeah, that's really hard. Do you like do you ever go back to the first time you were diagnosed and wish you got a mastectomy then?
No, I don't. Um, I don't.
No.
I trusted the doctors then and didn't feel, and they really didn't at that time really didn't have a discussion on the chances of it coming up and on my left breast. I didn't, you know what? I didn't know any better. And that's the probably the biggest difference between the first and the second time is that the second time, you have a resilience, it's resilience it's your ability to be able to bounce forward and manage the narrative. And I
Hmm.
didn't manage the narrative the first time. I was just totally trusting. And so it didn't even occur to ask, what do you think about it coming back on the left? But this second time, it's like I'm controlling the narrative here. I'm in power here. I'm standing in my power and I make the decisions. And yeah, I'll take your information and I'll consider your information. And at the end of the day, I'm the one that writes this chapter. And the cancer's not going to write the final chapter. I'm going to write the chapter.
That's very powerful. It's very powerful. And, cancer, I've yet to experience it, but from being in the life of, being close to people who've had it, um, and won the battle, lost the battle, seeing what supports were in place, medical system supports, family system supports, resources. What was the big difference between your first time 27 years ago and last year in the systems that were in place to support you, like medical wise? Because I know, like, also I'm in Canada and our medical system's different. Like, so medical system, but also like your community. Like, what was that like the first time versus now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, this time, I decided that I was going to let people know, and that I made a list of all the people that I wanted to know, and I created what one of my really good friends coined is I created my yes team. And these are the people that I said, when I need something, I know that I can go to Blair and she's going to say yes to whatever I ask her to do.
Your
It
yes.
might be fix me your favorite dessert. It might be come over to the house and let's watch some romantic comedies. It might be let me cry on your shoulder for, 10 minutes. And I made a list of people that were going to be on my yes team. And I called them and I said, this is a situation. And I want you to be part of my support team. Are you willing?
Hmm.
And all of them that I asked said yes. And so that made the biggest difference in support for me and support for my husband. We didn't want for anything. People cooked for us, they sent us cards, they put us on prayer lists, they came and visited, they sent me flowers, they offered to go with me to my chemo sessions, on and on. And I it made all the difference
Wow.
uh, in being able to bounce back. And it's really a core element of being able to come back from any resilience, any adversity, is that you have that team that you're going to be able to go to while you're working through the challenge, that you can count on people, because we cannot do it alone. And I wasn't about to do it alone. It was hard the first time to be in isolation. And I said, I won't do it this time.
I love that.
I need people.
I love that you had a yes team. I've never heard that before, but it makes so much sense. It's, will you be there for me? I'd like to, and obviously you're asking people that you're close with, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important because we're not meant to go through the hard stuff alone. That's why, we exist,
Yeah.
the community exists. But I want to just kind of go back to something you just said that I want to dig into a little bit. You said the first time you did it in isolation. What do you mean? Did you not tell anyone?
I did tell people, but I didn't tell a lot of people. I
What?
really kept it really
Oh.
close to my vest, to just my immediate family. Um, I told my manager, but I didn't even want him to tell any of my workers, which was absurd, absurd that I would make that decision, because they want to know.
Mhm.
And it was really a small circle. So really, when I was going through my treatments, it was my husband, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law, and they were the ones that were with me the entire time, where they would take turns to drive me to the hospital and back, to my chemo, to my radiation, and it was just those three people.
Mhm.
When I had other friends that lived in the community that could have helped us out, and I chose to stay in this small little community, that uh, that had I chosen to build the yes team, then it would have allowed my immediate family, to breathe and
Mhm.
not be under the stress that we were all under, because it was just us four that were trying to navigate the journey locally.
Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
So different. Like those are two very different experiences. And I'm sorry that you had to go through both of them, let alone just one of them. And um, how are you feeling today? Like, how are you feeling now?
Yeah, yeah. And today I feel great. I have I'm feeling better every day. My
Hmm.
last treatment was in June, so it's only been 4 months since I had uh my last immune therapy session, and I I was in a different position. So this time around, I made a decision that my health was going to be number one.
Hmm.
And at that time, the first time, I was working for corporate. This time, I have my own business. I'm a business coach, and then my husband and I are private lenders. And so, in order to position myself in the best possible environment, uh, attitude, space, energy, I decided to put my coaching business on hold.
Hmm.
And that was a big decision to do that. That in itself is a whole conversation of, how do you do that?
Oh
Because
God.
when we work our
Right?
business, yeah,
Yeah.
you were trying to grow our business, but
Yeah.
we never spend time saying, what if I have to put my business on hold? How am I going to do that?
Right.
And so, yeah, that it was a learning cycle on, how do I do that? How do I put my business on hold? And because it was the second time around, I said, I am not going to go back to what was.
Hmm.
I'm not. Think something has to change. Obviously, this is a message of, again, not really putting myself in a lot, and not putting myself on top of the list, because breast cancer is, when I read and study about the emotional and the psychological aspect of breast cancer, it's associated with women who overgive.
Hmm.
And I overgave 27 years ago,
Hmm.
and obviously I was still doing some overgiving in this life, in this particular um, time and place. And I am a very spiritual person, and I said, I'm not going to go back to what was. I'm not going to go back to my business, and I am going to allow my higher self, my intuition, to tell me what's next. And what my intuition and my guidance that came to me was, you're going to learn how to work with clay. And I was shocked. I'm like, being technical, left brain, creative now, right brain, you just like, I I just couldn't believe it. But I made a
Mhm.
commitment to myself that I would trust myself and trust the messages that were given to me as to what the next chapter was.
Yeah.
And I did a pivot. I said, okay, I'm going to start taking classes. And I've been taking classes now for a year on pottery.
I
I'm
love it.
working with clay and I have fallen in love with it. And it's working with clay has taught me a lot.
W-
It
Um,
has,
yeah, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like we need a whole nother episode on that. What, okay, well, let's do two questions for this because we have to wrap up soon. One, what's the biggest lesson working with clay has taught you? And two, what is your favorite piece that you've created so far?
Oh, awesome. It has taught me that when you are hand building, there is no such thing as perfection. There isn't. When you hand build, you know that it is not going to be perfect because if it was perfect, it'd be made by a machine.
Hmm.
And so the acceptance of working with clay, and I'm like, oh, this it doesn't seem like it's quite square, or oh, this edge doesn't look right. I just had to be in acceptance of it and say, this is it. This
Yeah.
is what is, and allow myself to accept the imperfections of my work, knowing that it's perfectly imperfect, and that's what art is.
I love
Yeah,
that. Ugh, I'm an art person. I remember as a little girl, I would go and like I went to I was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and I went to the YMHA, which is like the YMCA but for Jewish people.
mhm.
And on Sundays we had like group things, and I loved going to the pottery class. I remember I have this like memory of going down the stairs into the pottery room, and I loved it. And I didn't do much pottery growing up, but I think about maybe 10 years ago I did pottery lessons and I loved it. It just like where I lived, there wasn't, it was down a highway. And it's been in the back of my mind again to get back into pottery. Like I could do work at home. I don't have to always, use the wheel and whatnot. And it's interesting
Right.
because my sister and I've never talked about it, but she did pottery lessons all summer. And it's so, I just love this because I didn't know this about you. And it's just so fun and artistic and freeing. And the whole like taking this ball of clay and making it into something and painting it and creating it and using patterns and stretching and bending and molding and
Yeah.
like I love it, and I think that's what life is, right?
Yeah. Right.
And pottery is like an example of resilience. What's the best piece you've
Right.
made? What's your most, sorry, not the best, well, maybe it's the best. What's your most favorite piece you've made?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the piece that I'm making now.
Oh, okay.
So I've been trying to figure out uh my theme of what I want, of how I want to build things, what's the pattern that I want. And what's come keeps coming back is nature, that I want nature in everything that I do. So I'm building this bowl. It can be a salad bowl or a fruit bowl. And all around the bowl are
Mm.
flower petals all the way around. And I will paint that versus put glaze on it. And it's like, this is it. I'm going to start with flowers, then I'll incorporate leaves. I'll do wood patterns. It's just really starting to surface. And when I did this, when I'm working on it now, it's like, I'm going to do a whole set of bowls that are all different flowers. And this one is going to be sunflowers, the next one's going to be roses, the next one's going to be whatever. And it's just going to bring in nature into my clay. And I'm really excited about this. It's a complicated piece. It's bigger, it's heavier, and I get to paint it. So I'm really excited. It's going to bring everything that I've learned so far uh, to fruition in this piece.
I love
Yeah.
it. It's amazing. So cool. I can't wait to see that. And by the time this episode airs, maybe you're going to be on to your fourth bowl. Who knows? So if you're listening and you're like, I want some more Pat in my life, all of her links are in the show notes. She has a free gift for you, which is a free e-guide, 7 self-care habits for the amazing woman. She is absolutely amazing. She has survived breast cancer twice. Very smart woman. I invite you to dive into the world of Pat. And before we wrap up today, what advice, now that you've had breast cancer twice, what advice
Mhm.
do you have for someone who's being diagnosed with breast cancer the first time?
You are in control of your whole story. You get to write the chapter of what this breast cancer experience is going to look like. And you are always at choice in your journey.
Beautiful. You are in control of what you can control.
Yes,
You have choice.
absolutely.
It's beautiful advice. That's beautiful advice. And it's actually, I find it like that's applicable to a lot of our circumstances, but
Mm-hmm.
you're amazing. Thank you so much for being a guest with us on Resilient AF.
Blair, thank you for the opportunity to share my story and impact it. Even just one woman who may now be listening to it and finds herself in this situation. And I'm excited on the journey about the book and New York
Yeah.
and the whole thing.
Yeah. So yeah, the book's coming out January 2025, Resilient AF Stories of Resilience Volume 2. You can read Pat's story there along with many other inspiring stories. To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Resilient AF. Remember, you can get through it. You have a choice. Put one foot in front of the other. You're not alone. We can actually be there for you. You can reach out to us. We will help you. Let us be that lighthouse in the storm. It's okay to not be okay. You will get through it, my friends, because you are Resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are Resilient AF.